into the panel discussion on how artificial intelligence and machine learning enabled voice have gathered steam and where they fall short, what are the various challenges, and very importantly, how we can overcome all of these obstacles. In this discussion, we're going to discuss how conversational AI, voice, and chatbots will transform customer engagement, and also the importance of character and defining the role of a proactive AI assistant for customers. I'd like to introduce our panel members, Dr. Hafiz Farooq Ahmad, who is the Associate Professor of the King Faisal University. We also have Dr. Mohammed Khursheed Akhtar, who is the Senior Strategic Advisor and Data Scientist and the Strategic Center to Kingdom Vision Realization. And we also have Sarandeep Kaur, who is the Conversational AI Manager and Chapter Founder of the Women in Voice here in India. This session is going to be moderated by Mr. Herbert Fuchs, who is the CIO and CDO of BYD Consulting. Ladies and gentlemen, the stage is yours.
Perfect. Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, depending on where you are in this world today. Thank you for the introduction, so I can actually spare the time and save the time for the introduction. Again, my name is Herbert Fuchs, and the reason why I'm moderating and the reason why I'm really honored to be moderating that session is because I'm a firm believer in digital and digitization, all the benefits that businesses can experience from all these new technologies like AI and machine learning, voice recognition, IoT, and so on and so forth. Right? I mean, these are great enablers for businesses to change, for businesses to transform. Right? And as I said, I'm very honored to being the moderator of this panel, and so we've got like roughly 40 minutes in this session. I will try to make sure that we reserve 5 to 10 minutes at the end of the session for Q&A. So for all of you who are listening and who chimed in, please look at your screen. You will see a discuss button. When you click the discuss button, you can actually leave questions, right? And I will pick up on these questions and I will reread them to the panel, and I will assign the questions to the respective panelist for feedback and response. So that being said, let's get started. We're still waiting on one more panel member, but anyway, I just want to move ahead so that we're not losing valuable time here. So let me actually touch upon, the first topic that we want to talk about, and this is about, the technologies as such, the maturity, and the first topic would be: is AI, voice recognition, chatbots, etc., are they at a level of maturity to be considered true enablers and true game changers in digitization and digital transformation efforts and strategies? And, I would like to assign this first topic to you, Sarandeep, kind of, ladies first approach, if you don't mind. So what is your take on that? We cannot hear you. I think you're muted.
Sorry. Usual culprit, mute.
Yeah.
So thank you for the question, Herbert. And I think this is a very pertinent question, given that companies are really reluctant, thinking whether the technology will mature in the next 5 years or, how will it really pan out, and waiting. But my view is that, the technology is ready at the moment. It is ready in a way that you can use it for commercial purposes. Of course, it's going to evolve as we go along. And it is, there are going to be a lot of changes that happen over the years. But you can't keep waiting for technology to be at that perfect stage where everything is, hunky-dory. You have to make that move now. And it is at a stage where it'll give you, it'll help you gain those benefits that you want to achieve out of that. It'll really move you in the digital transformation journey. And if you continue to wait for another 10 years, then I don't know. I mean, my personal perspective is that, you should start now and continue evolve as the technology evolves, because otherwise you will be a laggard in this race.
Okay, thank you, Sarandeep. I'm not sure if we lost, Dr. Mohammed, and we're still waiting for Dr. Hafiz to join. So let's kind of, continue a dialogue between you and I for the time being.
Sure.
Right? So, I mean, how far do you see that, this is kind of a follow-up question to what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how far do you experience that, companies are really, trying to embark, on these new technologies? I mean, how many, when you look at your own company, I mean, what are the first, let's say, strides that you're taking? I mean, how far can you see that it's really, taking up speed?
I think it is picking up speed, and pharma is one of those fast-moving companies at the moment. I will not say that they were the first movers, but they are trying to pick up a lot of speed as we talk. There are so many. So what is needed is that you need to have a very overall view of the technology, right? It can do some things, it cannot do some things, and you have to be very aware of the shortcomings and plan for that. For example, if the bot fails, then usual things that there should be a human handover, there should be checks and balances in place on how do you really take that next step on making the consumer experience best. And the companies are really understanding that, and have, if you see, we're seeing a lot of if you looked at LinkedIn, there are so many job openings on for conversational AI. Students are picking it up, so I think the companies have realized that already, and they are moving in that direction.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Dr. Mohammed, since you're back online, don't forget to unmute your microphone, please. Let me also kind of, come back to you with the same question that Sarandeep and I, just touched upon is, the readiness of the likes of AI, machine learning, voice recognition, right? What's your point of view? I mean, are they, let's say, ready for companies to start deploying them, to start implementing them, to start and take them seriously?
Yes, of course, because see, this is not a new things. Actually, it is, you can say there is one proverb that this is the old wine in new bottle. Before we are using the public address system in railway, in platform, in other places also. But now we are taking the help from the AI, artificial intelligence, in this voice take or all this system. And now the customers having a good support from this AI, it means voice tech assistant. And there are the very good voice tech assistant also, like Alexa and Cortana and Siri, and the best is the Google Assistant. And if you go for Domino Pizza, if one customer they order, after every 5 minutes they are alerting, okay, go prepare and send this. It means there is the good chance, and it is a big means opportunity for this technology, and it's going good also. But it needs some upgradations or some changes. But there is a good opportunity or business opportunity, and for the company also to use this voice tech, in my point of view.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Mohammed. So let me move on to kind of my next question, which is not so much focusing on the technologies as such, right? But more like the circumstances, the surrounding parameters, right? I mean, when we look at organizations, when we look at the boards, when we talk to the executives, digitization, digital transformation, they've all got it on the agenda, right? And as I said, on my side, I'm very much involved in these, digital transformations, trying to make it happen, trying to get companies to move to become digital, right? And when we look at, all the transformation efforts, I think, we can see, and there's evidence out there that more than 70% of transformations either fail or underdeliver, right? And to be honest, from my own experience, I can say technology is typically not the reason for something to go wrong, right? There's many other aspects. So from your point of view, and Dr. Mohammed, I will address it to you first. From your point of view, what do you think that companies and organizations need to consider or need to be aware or prepared with in order for their digital transformation to be a success, in order for these technologies to really enable these transformations?
Yes, you are correct. You are asking the very pertinent question. And from my point of view, because we have already applied these digital transformations in our department, and in all in every project, you need the 4 things just to mention. You need the organizational awareness, because organization should aware to apply that technology. You need the operating model also. Third one is the people. You know the awareness of the decision maker. You know the at least the IT people who is going to decide. They should know what is the technology and what they are going to apply. And other is process also. It means any project, you need the 4 parameters. The 4 parameters, you know, the organization or organizational awareness, you know, the operating model, people who should know and they have awareness also, and last is the process. If you apply these 4, then your project will be successful. Actually, what happened in each and every organization, or maybe the institutions or anywhere, if there are any missing link, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to apply this means transformation, digital transformation. Just in our case also, and in this 9 months, you see there is a pandemic phase also, and there is lockdown, there is the slowdown of economy also. If you don't have the fund, your project will be not successful. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that this technology is not a good technology. We cannot apply. We have to go for digital transformation. We can apply the AI and assistant also and voice tech also. But mostly the failure of the project, what you mentioned, the 70%, because of missing link of any one between 4.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I mean, you know, I'm always glad hearing that kind of, you know, my way of thinking and my experience actually also receives confirmation. So, you know, thank you for the details. So, Sarandeep, what is your take on that?
So I completely agree with Dr. Mohammed and Herbert, like you mentioned. We have to stop considering these implementations as mere technology implementations or technology exercises, because, well, they are not. There's a lot more that goes into it. And I think from my personal perspective, I see that change management is the most important piece. Because what happens is that you first need to have the change management perspective at the top from the leadership, because, you know, these projects cannot succeed if it doesn't come from the leadership. And the leadership has to have that change management perspective that we have to make them successful. Then you need to really have a reason of why do you want to do it. Just don't do it for the sake of doing a digital transformation project. That will not give you your bang for the bucks. You have to find out your vision, your mission. What is it that you want to achieve? What are your KPIs? How will you measure success? And then you embark on this journey and take everybody along with you on the journey. And I had delivered the session in the last summit on how the enterprise needs to take this journey. Right, so it's a complete journey where you have to take people. People will be very worried that we'll lose our jobs. That fear is always there, that AI is going to take up our jobs. Yep. You have to take them in confidence that we are giving you a job which is better, and these monotonous things can be handled by a AI agent. You don't need to do this, and then keep consumers or the end users at the heart of the design. Use UX research, use research, do research sessions with them, understand what they want, try to solve their real problem, than just saying that, this is a technology that we have probably taken and we want to implement it. Then if we go that route, then it doesn't work. So I agree with Dr. Mohammed's perspective that, it's people, process, technology, operations, and the change management that drives all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm really glad hearing that, because, as I said, still there's too many executives out there who believe a technology is a silver bullet, right? So no matter what problem, you take the technology, you throw it at a problem, and by magic, it resolves a problem. And again, it's not true. And I think also very important is, for companies to understand and to distinguish, in between digitization, that means using digital technology to optimize current operation, to optimize the operational backbone, and then digital transformation, which really targets creation of new digital value propositions that the customers really want, right? And when you look at kind of successful established big companies, there's very few who actually succeed in that, right? Because they take the right sequence, and like maybe other situations in life, sometimes you cannot take shortcuts. Right? Yeah. You have to take one step after the other in the right sequence in order to be successful, or you throw energy, money, whatever, onto the problem and you will not succeed. So I think, this is very important that, executives are not just saying, I need to cut costs. I have these technologies and they will resolve my problems. Definitely not. So thank you for your insight on that. So let me move on to the next one. The next topic is, how, and this really focuses on the customers, the consumers. How do you believe that the conversational AI, voice and chatbots will really transform customer engagement, right? I think a lot of people are kind of, shying away to, so to speak, talk to a machine on the other side of the line, right? But again, there's huge opportunities, right? So Sarandeep, what do you think, how can we change customer engagement, through AI, through this voice recognition?
So my perspective is, as a customer, I want my task to be done. I have a mission or I have something that I want to get done from a company. And it doesn't matter if it's a human resolving it or if it's a machine resolving it, as long as my work gets resolved. I have a request. I want that, let's say I want to get from an insurance company, I want my certificate, my insurance documents. A simple process that any bot can help with, right? So I don't need to really be sitting in a call center waiting for my turn to talk to an agent to help me with that. All I need to do is, just get that thing done. And honestly, and over the pandemic has actually pushed this to a great extent. Workforce was limited. They were working from home. The technologies were not, they were not ready to work from home, for example, specifically in the customer service, because it's been traditionally an industry where people have been working from office, right? But pandemic really forced those companies to adopt this technology. And now we're seeing a lot of companies where the first line of support is the bot. So you get to talk to a bot, and only if the bot is not able to resolve is when when it is moved on to a live agent. So I think from customer perspective, as long as they get what they need, they don't mind that. And that's been my personal experience as well.
Okay. Thank you, Sandeep. I saw Dr. Hafiz joining. Dr. Hafiz, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yes, I'm here. I'm really sorry. I regret actually my office system somehow. I thought I should be in the office, but office system didn't allow me, so I apologize. I'm here.
Okay, perfect. Sometimes technology is still a challenge, right? So, but anyway, I'm very happy that you made it, Dr. Hafiz. So, let me actually switch over to you. Let me reread, the question that just asked Sarandeep is, how conversational AI, voice and chatbots will transform customer engagement, right? I mean, what do you think will be different? How can actually customers overcome, let's say, the shyness or the fear of, talking to a machine, so to speak, on the other side? What is your point of view on that?
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, here I would like to mention that we need to have the personalization. So according to the need and situation of the very specific customers, we need to engage the people. And then, over the long term, I would like that we should have personalization and context capturing. These are the two important things. Basically, personalization means customization according to the situation, according to the need. We would not like to go in kind of application which are very general and which are not keeping in mind the context of the user, the customer. For example, as we know that whenever we make a call to the customer center, we have a number of problems. We have to wait, and then the answer or the reply is not according to my need, according to my situation, my customer, specific situation. So I think we need to have two things. One is the context capturing, and the other is the personalization according to the situation. So these are the two important things which I would like to point out for having conversational AI, where we can have better relationship between the virtual assistant, virtual agent, and the customer. And over here, for example, over the time, we need to take care of the emotions of the customers as well. I mean, it should not be just like a bot. It should not be just a virtual assistant. It should be a personalized virtual assistant, which is now taking care of the emotions. I mean, what is my situation? If my agent can understand, and then then people should have a specific agent. I mean, let me relate this to the goal of the AI community, long-term goal of the personal agents, kind of personal agents. So here we need to have that character in our virtual assistant, to have the context capturing, to have the emotions, to have the personalization. And of course, one more thing, here the virtual assistant also need to provide quality according to the requirement. So according to the requirements mean that if my requirement is personal, my requirement is family, my requirement is office, depending upon these, I should be getting the quality, or in other words, how much I can pay. So these are the things which virtual assistants need to take care for the success and for the better engagement.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Hafiz. So, Dr. Mohammed, I would like to get your point of view, and also, I think, when we talk about, the AI agent, right? I mean, I also wonder about, how far we may have to combine, let's say, technologies, right? I mean, not just the voice recognition, but to personalize the service, right? Do we have to combine, the voice recognition with video analysis so that we can see emotions, right? We cannot just hear, the emotions in the voice of the respective customer, but we need to look at the face, and by combining the technologies, we get a better impression and we can better personalize the service. So what is your thought on that?
Yeah, this is a really very good questions, but I will tell you before this that the who developed this technology, they are very intelligent. The all four AI assistant, the name is the lady name, the Holly, the Alexa, the Cortana, and whatever this, they selected the ladies because most of the bosses, they need the personal assistant, the female. Their voices are female also, but there is option you can change the male also. But mostly they are soft is spoken, and they should engage the customer. And when you ask some questions, maybe some complex questions, because when you are making related questions and it's complex, maybe they cannot answer. But the simple questions, whatever the related, what the ma'am told, that if you need any insurance policy documents and this, they can give the correct answer. They provide all these things also. It means they engaging the customer also, and they are giving the correct answer, and they are friendly also, and frictionless, because they don't need any documents. Whatever you will ask, and there is option also, if they not answered, they can transfer to the human agent also. It means there is no shyness to talk to them, and they are going in a proper way. But we need more development, more technical engagement also, to provide all type of information. For example, if you ask, what is the weather today? Can I go to outside, or maybe I have some appointment? If data is there, you can get the information correctly. It means we need maybe in 1 or 2 years, or maybe 10 years, we can use maybe this is our options to solve the problem, and customer is satisfied. I think wherever they are using the AI assistant and voice tech, they are 70 or 80% they're satisfied with this engagement and their services.
Yeah. No, I think I agree. I mean, my own experience is definitely a good one with that one. But as I said, I think it's also a matter of mind. So, Sarandeep, I think you want to add something here.
Yeah. So, just your point on data, Herbert. I think there is a lot of data that organizations have for specific use cases like contact center, right? You have your CRM data. You know what tickets are open for a person's name. You have all the customer's history. All you need to do, to Dr. Hafiz's point, is personalize this conversation that I am having. And if we don't do that and keep it very generic, then obviously the experience will suffer. So contextualization and personalization is super important if you want to make it a truly digital, truly personalized experience and make it successful.
I think, that you touched a very good point, Sarandeep, the data. And as I said before, throughout my experience, and when we look at, digital transformations or digitizations that are successful, these companies typically, they actually took a decision to really look at, what data is the most critical data for their organization, right? So you look at, FedEx, UPS, they have certain focus on, let's say, the customer data, right? Then you look at, companies like Lego, right? They pay a lot of attention to supply chain data. So no matter what, right? I mean, if you embark on a digitization or digital transformation, you need to make sure that you can build it on a solid foundation, which is data, and the data to be super accurate, right? And super high quality, because otherwise you don't really know your customer if you don't have complete and holistic customer data, right? So that being said, let me move on, because I need to pay attention to time here. Is there anything, when we look at businesses, is there any message, to companies, to businesses, about how can we help to get our customers, our consumers, to prepare for the age of AI, for the age of machine learning, talking to machines? Is there any kind of additional educational process that companies can actually contribute for their customers, for their consumers, to be more happy, more satisfied, or more familiar with AI-based services? Dr. Mohammed, what is your take on that?
You are correct, because see, from the beginning also I told we need the organizational awareness also. Means they should aware that this is very important, and they can, maybe there is the different ways to advertise, to tell them, okay, we have the services, we have the AI assistant, you can go through and ask, because sometimes they are fear. You rightly said that they have shyness, they could not go for the agent also. They are directly send either email or maybe the WhatsApp messages or something, whatever the source of media. But if they use the AI, if they advertise, and they can go for conversations with this AI, they can provide in a proper way the information. And I think I have I read one paper. They mentioned you need the 5 things on AI, and mostly AI assistant, they are covering all these 5 things. I only put the point. First, accessible. It is everywhere accessible. Second is the frictionless, means you don't need any documents, anything also. Third is engaging, and AI assistant is always engaging. If you ask a lot of questions also, like beauty tips or something, ladies, they are asking the Google assistants, asking regarding their beauties and this and what things they are using, they are engaging also. And fourth one is proactive. It is also proactive. And third one is humanistic, because you don't need the human. You can ask the questions, they will answer. If in service sector, some service sector, if you need something like your parts or it's available or not, then they can transfer to the human agent. Otherwise, they are doing very fine. It needs only for the awareness for the company, for the institutions, or the customer also. That's all.
Okay, thank you so much. Dr. Hafiz, any input from your end?
I would like to add one point more. Over here with Dr. Mohammed. Actually, we need to have the civilizing effect on the people. Which can engage, not only engage, rather they can have a good impact on the people. With the manners, and of course, over the time, we need to have the assistants which need to know the culture of the locality. So, for example, if you are developing some agents for Japanese society, Japanese application, you need to consider those effect as well. And if you are developing it, of course, languages are important, and in the context of language, we do need to consider the accent and those things as well. I think this will be very important in the future. And overall, of course, we need to consider all the AI ethical guidelines over here as well. While developing application, while developing visual application, the guidelines, for example, as maybe published by Harvard Review, we need to consider all those while developing the application. Ethical effects, ethical guidance, all these we need to consider. The basic and the most important is humanizing or civilizing effect in all of the conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, I want to make sure, me being a European and Austrian, right? I mean, when I talk to an AI agent, that I feel like, it touches my culture, right? And I have this, as you said, I feel like, it's humanized, right? It is something that I'm kind of feeling warm, comfortable with to interact with. Absolutely, right? Because otherwise it's like a cold service, and it will not be accepted. So, very, very great points. So let me come to the last one, because I guess we are running short in time, and I think this is the typical question, right? Whenever somebody talks about AI, I think this question has to come in a way, which is again, the ethics, right? I mean, how can we make sure that people are not getting scared to death, and this AI is taking over the world, and I have no control over my life anymore. I want to open my fridge, and all of a sudden it doesn't allow me to open my fridge anymore, right? So what is your point? And I think I start with you, Sarandeep, from an ethics perspective, right? What do we need to be aware of? What do we need to do right in order to take the fear away?
Yeah. So to me, there are two really lines of ethics that we are, couple actually. The first one is the whole anthropomorphism that we're doing. All the agents are females. That's like a complete, line of view that, we are trying to degrade female, making them all female because, men want to control female. And there's a whole debate, and there's this formless AI that we're talking about that doesn't make use of, so, Alexa flirts back with you if you say something, which you will not expect out of a male assistant, if for that matter. BBC decided not to go with a female assistant, but, they decided to have another one. So, there are a lot of ethical concerns that come into play with the whole, digital assistants being anthropomorphized as females. So that's one line in itself that, people are talking about, and there are a lot of discussions now going on. The second is the whole use of data for training the bots, right? Where we are saying that, we are using data, people have, Alexa sitting in your home and listening to you. So what do we do about it? People are worried about their privacy being breached. But to all the naysayers out there who think that the AI will take over the world, that's not going to happen in the next 50 years at least, basis what we've read and what we've seen. It's not at the stage that, tomorrow, a bad AI will come and take us over and that inflection point will come. But yes, we have to be really concerned about the data privacy, how it is being used, how is my data being used for me, training a language model by Google or Amazon. As long as it is used in an anonymous way, without that being used to again personally market me things, I might be okay, but some others might not be. So how do you really take consent before using that data is something that you really need to take care of.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, privacy, we all are concerned that, we are talking to family members and our mobile phone might be listening and capture, all of these things, right? I mean, how far does it go, right? I mean, what is happening to my data and so on? No, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Mohammed, your opinion, your input on that.
Yeah, actually, you see, just I explained about the ethics. What's the meaning of the ethics? It is the dealing with the right and wrong. Then you should know, when you are talking about the ethics, means you should know what is the right, what is the wrong. You cannot use the technology for the wrong purpose or for your own sake of purpose or whatever you have the intentions. You have to use the AI or whatever the technology, either digital technology or any technology, for the right purpose.
Yep.
This is the ethics, and now they are utilizing, because see, the AI they are using in people are talking about the AI use also in an ethical manner. There are the rules and regulations. You have to use the AI technology for the human purpose, not against the human. You cannot prepare the warfare using the AI technology and the mass destructions, weapons also. For the same thing on AI, voice technology or assistant, you cannot use for the other purpose. You have to use for the right purpose, like whatever you need the information, whatever you have the requirement, and the services also. You don't go for the second part of the coin. You have to go for right side of the coin. That's all.
Yeah, I think, the challenge is then always, or the challenge is going to be, how do you control it, or who is actually going to control it, right? Do we need to have legislation, regulation in place, that takes care of that, right? Or do we trust on common sense or the good in people? I think, many people, or I hope the majority of humans have the good side in mind, right? I mean, they see the opportunities, but we cannot bet on that, right? So I think over time we have to figure out, what frameworks do have to be put in place, right? Are governments playing a role, right? Are the corporations, the companies as such kind of, expected to take that ownership, right? To have this ethical mindset. I think, this is something that needs to be figured out. So, Dr. Hafiz, I think we're running out. Just your point of view before we close it.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Again, I just would like to add that here we need to bring the transparency of the, virtual assistants, transparency of, users, at each and every level, all the stakeholders, not only the users, rather the provider of the virtual assistants and the companies who are using for the users. All these stakeholders need to have some kind of transparency. And then over this, we need to build the trust of the user, because user is the most sensitive part for this. So we need to build trust on the transparency. Then I think we can lead a very good success, or much more success than the previous interfaces, any kind of. Then we can have a very, very novel applications. But if the trust breaks, and there is no transparency, then we might have more hurdles.
Yeah. I think, this transparency is a very great point, right? And before you joined, Dr. Hafiz, when we talked about, digital transformation, digitization in general, right? That transparency was also pointed out, because it's very important within organizations, within companies, right? Within the society, that people know what's happening, right? There should not be anything hidden. There should not be, this concern that who knows what's happening in the background. So I think transparency, whether it's, AI, whether it's other technologies, whether it's, change management, transparency is key to make sure that we get the buy-in, we have the acceptance, and people feel comfortable, right? That people feel safe with the technology and with the changes that the technology actually brings to the table. Okay, so Dr. Hafiz, please go ahead.
Yeah, just I would like to add one more thing. When it comes to the trust building, actually we need to focus on other technological aspects like security, okay, privacy, because if our assistant somehow is misused or is hacked, then this is going to break the trust again. So we need to focus. Of course, our main discussion has been away from that aspect, but it is, I think, very important point that over the time, security is one of the major threat or major challenge in the virtual assistants as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what triggers the concerns, right? Whether it's AI, whether it's any other technology, whether it's our internet banking, or you name it, right? We're always concerned that something is happening with our data that we're not aware of or that we don't want, right? So anyway, hey, thank you. I really enjoyed the conversation. Thanks to the three of you for your contribution, for your time. I really appreciate it, and I really hope that the audience liked it as much as I did. And that being said, I did not see any questions coming in. So let me close that panel. And again, lady and gentlemen, go backstage, on your application, and let's, hand it over to the nice gentleman who's already waiting for me to stop my speech. So thanks again to all of you. Thank you to the audience.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarandeep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarandeep.
Thank you so much.
Mohammed. Thank you, Herbert.
My pleasure.
Yeah, it's pleasure to with panelists. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, lady and gentlemen, for your discussion. And of course, as you pointed out, you are going to be, to our audience, you will all be, the speakers will be available offline during the networking sessions, backstage as well. And thank you very much once again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, we're going to slip into a lunch break now. It is about 2:10 IST, and we'll be back here in about an hour's time. at 3 o'clock approximately Indian Standard Time, which is when we come back here at 3 o'clock, we will have a networking session for about 20 minutes, and then we will continue with the panel discussion. So we'll see you in approximately 1 hour's time. Thank you.